Boom! And we're live. Hey guys, what's going on? Hanging out here at the desk right now, looking over some books, just doing some desky things before I go out today to knock out some details. And I just wanted to do a quick marketing riff, I guess, just straight off the top of my head. Don't really have a set lesson or anything like that to talk about, but I just had some things that smacked me right in the side of the head that I had learned a long time ago, and I kind of secretly instill in my business now, just intuitively, without really recognizing it. Hey Matt, what's going on, buddy? And so over time, learning all these things, implementing all these strategies, trying all these different things, it just kind of sneaks right into my business and becomes like a habit, right? Hey, what's going on, Rohan? And so some of them smacked me. I was like, dang, I had completely forgot that I do these things, right? That these actually work. And so I grabbed a couple of books that I think that taught it to me the best, and that kind of worded it the best. And if you guys want to pick them up, you can do that too as well. Anyways, but I wanted to just share some things right off the top of my head, all about marketing, sales. Hey Brian, what's going on, man? We'll touch on a few topics, and I'm just going to kind of go bounce back and forth between the two of them. But hey, thanks for that like, man. Book number 1, Growth Hacker Marketing by Ryan Holiday. This is a extremely killer book. And then Contagious, right? So both of these books, they talk a lot about, internet marketing, books and authors, software services, things like that, the things that they typically sell, right? But they're easy to transpose them into the detailing service world, right? So I know a lot of times guys will have this struggle, and I had the same thing when I was learning marketing. Is it's like, how can marketing work for detailers, right? It really doesn't. It doesn't make any kind of sense, right? I don't get, like, it. It just, marketing is something for somebody else, right? And so for a lot of years, I would think, I've got to create a product, I've got to create a service, I've got to build a business where marketing actually works, right? But eventually, I guess over time, pushing, the light bulb went off, and suddenly I realized, oh, wow, yeah, this stuff really does work for any kind of business. It just takes a little bit, of creativity. There we go. There's the word. To figure it out. And once the light bulb goes off, the sky's the limit, right? So anyways, Growth Hacker Marketing, I'm just going to give you kind of a quick little overview of this. Obviously, I can't dive into both of them and teach you everything on one live video, but I'm going to hit some highlight points to help give you things that you can take home, like right after this, and use it successfully and help you with your business. That's kind of the goal of all these live videos, is to give you nuggets you can immediately go out and implement. So remember that. Use these things. Make some kind of action after this. Anyway, so he defines growth hacker marketing in here. What is growth hacking, right? The end goal of every growth hacker is to build a self-perpetuating marketing machine that reaches millions by itself, right? That's Aaron Ginn defining that. And Ryan Holiday says, a growth hacker doesn't see marketing as something one does, but rather as something one builds into the product itself, right? So in our case, the product we sell is the detailing business, right? It's not the carpet shampooing or the polishing or whatever. That's not necessarily the product. The product is the business itself, right? So go ahead and get that in your mind. It's not the polishing, it's not the shampooing, it's not the steaming, it's not the wax. That's not really the product. The product is your business and the results and the success that it creates for your customers. Okay, so go ahead and just lock that down, right? Because I know a lot of times when you'll read a marketing book or a blog or a video, you'll go, oh God, I don't have a product. What's my product, right? That's your product. Your product is the business and the results and success that it drives for your clients, right? And so the cool thing here about growth hacking is the marketing is something that you build into the product itself, right? So what he's saying is the machine, the product, the service, your business, you want to have it built in a way that it's kind of self-perpetuating. It sells itself, right? So let's see. For instance, he gives a couple of cool examples in here. Let me see if I can grab one from the beginning. I think it was Mailbox, maybe. Maybe it was Mailbox, where they would do this thing where at the end of every little email you sent out. Or, okay, here's a good example I know it's right off the top of my mind with iPhones, right? If you use the email service that comes with the iPhone, right, every time you send the email, it has a tag at the bottom automatically that says, sent from my iPhone, right? So in that case, the product is the iPhone and the email service that's built into it, right? Every single time an iPhone user, unless you turn it off, you send out that email, right, it's going to have at the bottom, sent from my iPhone, right? And then again with the Apple example, he talks about this in Contagious as well, which is basically creating marketing and advertising that catches on and becomes viral, and it's kind of like a contagious thing for your customers, your prospects. But he talks about in here, being public, right? Being public, having the product, the advertising, the marketing, the service, whatever it is, becoming public, right? And so he uses the Apple logo inside here to give that example. So again, sent from my iPhone, right? The product is the phone, the mailing ability, right? Whatever. And every time you use it, you send the email to somebody, it advertises itself to the person receiving it, right? Unless you turn that off. And in Contagious, when he's talking about the Apple logo, right? If you've seen, well, my iPhone has a case on it, but anyways, here we go, the MacBook, right? Let me grab my MacBook for you guys. So hopefully this looks right when we're checking it out on this camera here. Anyways, so originally when they built these, right, when they built the MacBooks, when you opened it up or when you were holding it like this, okay, the user would have the Apple turned the other way so that they could see the Apple upright. But then the problem was when you opened it up, right, let me get the lighting on this. You guys, it's being funny. Anyways, the Apple, there we go. The Apple would be upside down then, right? So you'd be sitting in the coffee shop with your MacBook and the Apple was the other way around, okay? That looks stupid, right? So they were focusing on, okay, we want our users to have their MacBook and see their Apple, right? But the problem is they look like goofballs and the product doesn't really sell itself when they're sitting in a coffee shop using it, right? So they turn the Apple the other way. So the user sees it with it upside down, right? But what happens when you're sitting in a coffee shop and you flip that bad boy up, right? Or you grab your iPhone and it doesn't have the case on it, or you've got your MacBook. Everyone in the room knows that man just pulled out a MacBook. That man just pulled out an iPhone, right? And I mean, if you look at these things, it's a beautiful, beautiful machine. Like that's a gorgeous laptop. Whether you're an Apple fan or not, it's absolutely beautiful, right? And that's why they dominate their market, because they, from the packaging, the box it comes in is solid white, it's stiff, it's nice, right? It feels good. You flip it open and everybody in the room recognizes that you have a MacBook or you have an iPhone, right? And the same thing can be done with your detailing business. So I don't know if you guys have Goo-Goos in your area, but you probably have some kind of express car wash, right? And they'll do those things where you go through and you get the car wash or whatever, and it comes with this exclusive air freshener, right? And it hangs up in the window and it says Goo-Goo or 3 Minute Express or whatever the business is, right? So let's imagine that, after every detail, when someone got whatever level packaging, you had a different air freshener for that, right? Or, something different that displayed it. So when these people rode around and their car was in the parking lot and it's beaming, right? You can see it from, as soon as you come through the door leaving the Walmart, you see it. They walk up, they're checking it out, and boom, there's this big fat air freshener, in the shape of a diamond that says, platinum auto detailing certified clean or whatever, right? Something like that, where it's a badge everywhere they go, right? So that's kind of what they're talking about with the growth hacker marketing, and looking at your marketing as something that it's not something you're really doing, it's something that you're building into the business so that it sells itself. So in those two examples we just discussed, it's creating some way, right, where the product is displaying itself in public like a badge for people to show off to everyone else, right? There's another cool example here in Contagious, right? Now, again, this book is about, why things catch on, becoming this kind of viral marketing machine, right? And he tells a story here in the beginning. It's broken up pretty cool, but the sections are social currency, triggers, emotions, becoming public, like we just spoke about with the Apple logos and the air fresheners, the practical value of it, and stories, right? But he tells a thing in the beginning about why things catch on, right? And he mentions the $100 cheesesteak, right? And this is super cool, and I'll give you a real life example of some ways that I use this in my business all the time, right? So the idea behind this $100 cheesecake was this little local restaurant was selling literally a sandwich, a little cheesesteak, Philly cheesesteak sandwich for $100, okay? Hey, Chris, thanks for stopping in, right? And they would sell this thing, and sure, like next to nobody bought the thing, right? Nobody's going to buy that, okay? You know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, right? I'm sure occasionally people would buy it, but the point was, we're the only sandwich shop in town that has a $100 cheesesteak, right? And so it would draw attention to this business, and people would come in, and maybe they bought the $100 cheesesteak to look awesome, and they post it on Instagram and Facebook and tell all their friends, I just bought a $100 cheesesteak, right? But even if you didn't buy it, you'll come in and you'll get the $10 sandwich, and you'll see what the $10 sandwich tastes like from the guy that sells the $100 cheesesteak, right? So that was the idea, right? There's a lot of value in that, right? There's the social currency, the badge of it. It stands out, right? There's a million reasons. You can see if somebody comes in and they buy a $100 cheesesteak, they're going to put it on Instagram and Facebook and tell all their friends and text them and take a picture in front of it, right? They're going to do all these things, and that's exactly what this company wanted to do. I'm sure you've seen that before, where people will sell a $500 pizza or something, right? So in your detailing business, I do this all the time. And I'm sure you guys have got this. You know, maybe you're out in public, you're working on a car already. You just kind of get blindsided with someone who goes, so how much do you charge for a detail? How much do you get for a detail? What do they typically run, right? And my quick answer, you know, assuming I don't have the time to sit and speak with them, right, is I'll say something like, well, you know, it just really depends on the amount of work you're looking to have done, the level of detail you want to receive. But on average, it's going to range somewhere between $250 and maybe $6,000 to $7,000, right? And so again, just like the cheesesteak, how often am I doing a $6,000 or $7,000 detail, right? Hey, Carl, what's going on, man? Not very often, right? And if I do a $6,000 or $7,000 detail, it's going to be something that takes, you know, several weeks. It's a massive RV. It's something of that sort, right? And maybe you've never done one, right? Maybe you've never done one, but you could certainly deliver a $6,000 or $7,000 detail, right? These guys may probably never made a $100 cheesesteak for months, right? Until somebody finally walked in and requested it, right? So if you ever did have somebody, going to be president, hey, thanks, man. But if you ever had somebody, you know, ask, what's your $6,000 or $7,000 detail look like? Tell them, man. Be like, well, here's the thing. We go absolutely all out on that. So we actually do like 7 wash steps, okay? And then we're going to use our iron treatment, our clay treatment, right? And then we're going to wash it again to break anything off of there. We're going to do 5 steps of compounding and polishing, right? We're going to put a ceramic coating on. There's going to be, you know, 4 or 5 layers of that, okay? Then we're going to put on, you know, a layer of sealant, and then like 45 layers of wax. We're going to let that cure for 2 or 3 days, and then we're going to come back and we're going to hit it up with 2 layers of our gloss enhancer. We're going to ceramic coat all the glass. So I mean, you could go all out on it, right? You could certainly come up with a way to deliver that $6,000 or $7,000 detail if you were put on the spot and you had to do it, right? So again, try that out. Try that out and get the response. Just watch the response and the look in somebody's eyes when they're coming up on you washing a vehicle, and they say, well, what do you usually get, right? And you're like, well, you know, it could be anywhere from $250 to, you know, $6,000 or $7,000. Hey, John, what's going on, man? And catch that, right? And then what will happen is they'll go, oh, okay, well, how about my car? What would it cost to do my car, right? Go and check it out, and I promise you, you will not be booking them at $250, right? You won't book them at $6,000, but you'll book them somewhere, you know, maybe around $500 or $600, right? Because they just realized, wow, this is a $6,000 or $7,000 detailer, right? You know, so it's just a cool little trick there. Anyways, let's see what other cool stuff they got here. They had some really neat stuff that we can use for detailing. Let's see. Boom. The practical value. I dig this one. So the practical value and stories. So a cool thing he talks about in here with becoming, you know, contagious, having viral marketing in your business, right? The practical value, the story he tells is this super old man, like 86, right? He makes this video about corn, like growing corn, all the uses for corn, things you can do with corn. And ultimately, I don't even think he was selling anything, right? I don't think he was selling anything, but what he does in there is the man makes this corn video, and people are like, oh my God, did you know there's 9,000 ways to use corn? Okay? So there was practical value in it, right? And we can do this with detailing super easily. Like I've done this with the little furs off pet rock. Make a video and tell people, look, if you're having a problem with getting pet hair out, this is crazy. This little rock, I don't know why it works so great, but it does, right? And those people think, dang, Christian's a genius. He found a rock that gets pet hair off, right? You know? But anyways, and then stories, right? He talks about how a story is like a Trojan horse, right? A good customer service is better than any ad, right? And so the point he's talking about there, I want to combine those together with you guys, right? So the combination of the practical value and the stories being like a Trojan horse. So when you're looking at creating the practical value, right? So let's say that with the rock example, the furs off rock example, you put together this video for people who are looking for, little known, under the radar, revolutionary, expert detailer industry secrets to removing pet hair that you would never have imagined possible without lifting a finger. I think that's a little delay there, but hey, John, right? And you show them the rock, right? Practical value. And you can tell a billion stories about how you came to find this rock, how much it's changed your life, how easy it is, right? You could get a customer with you to tell the story or something, right? A testimonial, a review, whatever it is. And then that story, that practical value, that blog, that video becomes a Trojan horse, right? And if you guys know the story of the Trojan horse, basically, they gave this thing as a gift, right? And then they wheel it into the walls of Troy, and then, everybody hops out, and Achilles kills everybody, and they destroy the whole city, right? But we're not looking to destroy our customers' lives. What we're looking to do is use that practical value, that story, right, to get into the prospect's world, right? To get into their mind, to be top of mind for their detailing services, right? Yeah, they are a little bit off. But anyways, we're going to get in there, and then we're going to sell them what we've got, right? We're going to present them the value that we can deliver, and it's all wrapped up in this extremely practical value, storytelling awesomeness, right? And so that's another way. You'll hear people talk about positioning yourselves as experts. That's a good way to do it. But you want to have the practical value there, so it becomes kind of like a sneak attack where you're basically welcomed in with open arms to sell and provide value to your customer, right? So that's pretty killer, man. Okay, let's talk about this. I just had an awesome idea hit me. So they talk about social currency in this book, right? So there's a story he tells in here about this bar that opened up, right? And the way you got into it was you would walk into like a sandwich shop or a diner, something basic like that, and there was a telephone booth inside the restaurant, right? And you go into the telephone, like an old-timey one, like Superman would go into to change, right? And you go into the telephone booth, and the phone, I think, maybe actually did work or so, but that wasn't the point. The inside the booth, once you got in there, was a secret door that took you into the bar, right? And so they they had zero advertising for this bar. You would never see it on Facebook, Instagram. You wouldn't see it on a radio ad, TV ad, flyers, nothing, right? The only way that you could find out and get into the bar is if somebody who knew about it told you, okay? So obviously this bar exploded, right? It became like this underground cool hangout that you could only get into if a buddy brought you along, and it was inside a freaking telephone booth, man, in a diner. How crazy is that, right? So think of the billions of ways you can use that in your detailing business, right? So I'll do these things where I'll pick out specific clients, right, that are really, really good to me, and I'll tell them, hey, if you send me somebody, I'll give them XYZ, something for free, right? Or if they join this maintenance program through your referral, right, they'll get these, exclusive services up front, something like that, right? But it's a hush-hush type deal right now. Obviously, you're going to be telling this to several different, your best clients, right? Because you want more people like them, and that's the way you can position it as, I want more people like you hanging out on this VIP service. You're just butter to work for, right? You're absolutely incredible. I have the best time in my life every time I come out to detail for you. If you wouldn't mind bringing some more folks in like this, right? And let them know that they can only get this exclusively through you. And in exchange, I'll give you blah, 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 right? So they have kind of like this badge that they can wear because they're like, yeah, my detailer, I'm on this program with him, and the only way you can get this is if you tell him I sent you, right? So we turned it into, the customer is now this telephone booth, right? And we get them into the program and dress it up, man. Have like some exclusive pamphlets or books or some graphics or something, right? Things that really show that this is hush hush, right? This is something you could have only gotten through one of our VIP clients, right? So these people feel incredible because they're like, man, they showed me the telephone booth. I'm getting to see the telephone booth. My buddy thought I was special enough to bring me to the telephone booth bar, right? And then the client you've already got that's doing this for you feels like a superhero because he knows about the telephone booth bar, right? Dang, that one got me a little excited there. If you guys have any awesome ideas, throw them down there in the comments. I won't go on about this forever. I hope I've given you some super cool stuff though, man, that you can use. See if I can grab one more quick little thing for you guys. I'm checking the table of contents. I think it's pretty ridiculous how well I'm remembering these books though. It's been years since I read them. Let's see. Oh, okay. So we'll talk about this real quick, and then I'll close it off. From there, I think I hope I've given you guys a ton of information. But he talks about finding your product market fit and growth hacker marketing. And what he's talking about there is, and detailers struggle with this a lot. And it's not just detailers; it's every company in the world. But I know in the detailing world we do this a lot, right? Is not having a product that really fits our market, right? So selling something that people don't necessarily want. So you see this often when a lot of detailers want to push having a shiny, glossy vehicle, right? Or maybe, having a brand new looking interior, right? Those are the quick grab at things, right? Or being the most thorough detailer, or, the one with the most certifications, that sort of thing, and selling that as your product, right? But a lot of times, in some areas, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what people want. But I know more often than not, that's usually not really the product that people are wanting to buy, right? So to give you an example, I have a client that I detail for every month, and I don't know exactly what her business is, but I know that she picks up clients constantly. Like she's always driving out to the airport, picking up clients, showing them around, doing these things. There you go, and so she's always having me detail the car every month, but then she'll call me up in between those months, like a week later or 10 days later after the detail, to do it again. And it's not because of the shiny, glossy, clean vehicle, right? The new looking vehicle. It's because she wants the vehicle to be, presentable to her customers, right? So what I'll do a lot of times to make this even better for her is, give her like some nice pins to leave inside there. So if they've ever got to sign any documents, they can do that, right? And I try to go over the top all the time and focus a lot on that front area and making sure that it's just absolutely spectacular. Obviously, we're all doing that, right? But I stress the point of, hey, please do not hesitate. If you're going to get a client, please hit me up. I will make it work for you. And that's kind of the product you're selling, right? So when he's talking about the product market fit, he's talking about, make sure the market really wants the product that you're selling before you start wasting all your time and money and you beat yourself up and you feel like a failure because nobody's buying it, right? And a cool way to do this, I'll give you a nice way to do it. And when I first started my business, this is what I would do, okay? I wasn't sure exactly how to pitch my detailing. So what I would do was I would go into these buy-sell trade groups or onto my Facebook page or whatever, and I would throw a different hook out every time, a different hook every single time. So when I'm saying the hook, that's like the attention grabber, the thing you're throwing out there to offer people, right, that gets them in there, gets their attention, right? And I'll just throw out tons of different ones to see, what people started responding to, right? So I would say things like, do you want a brand new glossy looking vehicle? Do you want it to feel like it did the day it was brand new? Do you want to preserve the value of your vehicle and get top dollar on trade-in? Do you want to make everyone in the RV park jealous of you? Do you want to show off at the golf course when you pull up in your BMW? Do you want to impress every client that you pick up, right? All of these different things. And eventually I started finding these messages, these hooks that people would respond to, right? But the thing was, I had to throw out several different ones. Instead of just picking one that I thought was the best for my market, right? You tweak it. You throw out a hook, 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 right? Or you tell a story of a client. You tell a story, you tell a story, tell a story, right? Over and 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 over. And I learned this from, my man Russell Brunson, a big mentor of mine. Hook story, offer, hook story, offer, hook story, offer, right? Throw all these different hooks out, and eventually you'll notice. You'll start seeing it in the responses, people reaching out to you, people messaging you, the likes, the thumbs ups, the things that your customers are giving back to you after they get their vehicle detailed. You'll know, like, okay, that's the hook, that's the product, right? That's what fits best in my market. So now, once you've established that, all your job is at that point is to make it super easy for the clients to get as easy as possible and to deliver the greatest results and value possible, right? So now that you've got the product you know fits best in your market, you just got to become the absolute best at delivering that result, that product, that service better than anybody else with thousands times more value than anybody else, right? And then make it as easy and as simple as possible for the prospect, for the client, whatever, to get that result, right? So that's a nice one, I think, to end on. Go out there and start trying to figure out what is the hook, what is the product that fits best in my market, and then build that better than anybody else, and then make it as easy as possible for everyone to get. So I hope that helps you guys. That's just a little marketing riff, sales riff off the top of my head. I hope that's provided some value for you. Thanks, John. I see you down there. I'm going to check those comments when I get off of this so I can read it more with more attention. But I hope that's provided you some value. If you got any questions, you have some awesome ideas that pop in your head, please throw them in the discussion. Let's roll it out. Let's wrap it out. Let's get back and forth on it, and we'll make it perfect. But yeah, don't just listen to this and not do anything. Take something, some gold nugget you might have got this at the top of your mind, and immediately make some small action towards putting that into play, right? So you could just go ahead and grab your ideas and scribble notebook. That's literally what this one is. Jot it down, work it out. If you don't have the time to think about right now exactly on how to implement it, just get it down on paper, right? And then start making some small steps towards implementing it in your business and creating success from it. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Till next time, see you soon. Bye.